Well, hello, my friends. Welcome back to another episode of the Professional Brotherhood Podcast, the podcast. Threw you off there, didn't I?
Hey, that sounds familiar.
Yeah, that sounds familiar. We got a special guest today, and this is kind of a last-minute pop-up episode. We got Ryan Pennington from Jumpseat Radio. What's up, Ryan?
What's up, Chief? Man, I'm so proud of you launching your own podcast. Getting, what are you at, like 50 or 60 episodes already?
Yeah, we're like, I think this will be 67.
I'm going to get busy. You're going to catch
me. We're doing all right. We're doing good.
Well, congratulations on launching the awesome podcast. I may have dropped in a couple episodes, and you're doing fantastic. Keep up the great work. Honored to be here.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Those of you who don't know, I've mentioned it in a couple of the episodes before. You know, we have mentors in every part of the fire service, right? Well, Ryan is one of those guys for me when it comes to this whole podcasting thing, because I kind of got the bug by listening to his show and then being a guest on his show. Yep. And Ryan, the guys from National Fire Radio, Jeremy and Rob, and listening to Pip and some of these other guys, you know, it's been cool. So thank you for kind of lighting the fire under my ass.
When I very first heard this platform back in 2014, I was like, man, this is going somewhere. I mean, firefighters don't read much.
No, you got that right.
I was throwing away some old textbooks the other day. Chiefs were like, why are you throwing away those old textbooks from us? Like, you tell me one of these guys have sat down and read those textbooks in the last 10 years. Yeah. It's because we watch everything. And that's just the way the digital media is. And I really think this platform makes it more personable, or more, you can see our personalities.
Yeah, I agree. And look, some episodes are focused, right? And you've got an idea of where you want to go and what you want to do. Well, I haven't had one, and I think I've kind of taken this from you a little bit. I haven't scripted a thing since number one. It's usually just hit record, and maybe we have an idea of what we want to talk about, like a subject, but other than that, it's kind of open forum. Which
it's funny when I sit down and I make this script, I don't ever touch any of it, so it's just like whatever. Yeah. But I mean, I think that goes with the natural flow. It's just like you and I sitting around. Well, I'm at the kitchen table, matter of fact.
Right.
So.
Yeah. So you've been busy, right? Things are crazy down in your neck of the woods.
Yeah, it's just like everyone else. We're dealing with some staffing shortages. Mm-hmm. As people get exposed to COVID, as they go into COVID protocols, which particularly at the time of this recording, I'm in COVID protocol because of an exposure. They're still kind of figuring it out. So basically, I've just been living in firehouses. Yeah. If you catch a shameless plug, last Jumpseat Radio 127, I say this is a great time to focus on you and your department. That's basically what I've done. Believe it or not, I've been hitting my activities schedule on the old Apple Watch. So look at there, it closed all the rings. Get back to working out so people quit yelling at me. And just kind of focus on learning how. Recently promoted to captain about 6 months ago. I don't know how long I can use the new captain thing, but I'm going to use it for the first 5 years.
Absolutely. Congratulations on that. How's that change working out for you?
Man, I tell you, I guess I'm going to tell a little story on myself that I've never really studied the engine, because I always wanted to be a truck company firefighter. I always wanted to be on the truck. That's where I wanted to be. Matter of fact, I read the biography that my probationary captain made me write 14 years ago, and it said I want to be on the rescue company. Well, it's like now that I'm on the engine company, I'm really kind of enjoying it. Enjoying getting the water to the seat of the fire, how to efficiently stretch, how to worry about your stretch links and everything. So dare I say I'm a converted truckie, fully on the engine now. Oh yeah, right. Well, and the thing about it is man, I tell you, I really won the lottery when I got promoted. Nobody wanted to go to engine 7. Oh, engine 7. Mm-hmm. Ryan will go there.
Okay,
absolutely. Because by the way, engine 7, they don't go to some of the fires; they go do them all. So we are citywide. Now we're third due a lot. It's so funny though when you show up with tools in your hands, air pack on your back, and an attitude that you're there to work, and maybe even bring your own hose line. They put us to work. Imagine that, Lucky. So it's been fantastic. My driver's great. My guys are fantastic. They're all paramedics, which that is wild.
All right.
I mean, I'm going to tell stories all day. I don't care. But I was on a medical call the other day, and I was the only paramedic there. And the kid turned to me and says, Captain Pennington. I said, yeah, bud. He's like, man, you're a pretty good paramedic. I'm like, okay, out of the mouth of babes. And I was like, okay, sure I am. And I've been a paramedic for 21 years. He said, I've never seen you do EMS before because I don't have to. Yeah, I mean, when you've got 4 medics with you, I just kind of stand back and look captainy, I guess. So
yeah. That's funny story because I was first on the scene of a medical call a couple of weeks ago, and we have a commercial transporting agency. I was there a couple minutes before everybody else, and comes in as a cardiac arrest. Thankfully, ends up not being one. But
right.
I'm doing my patient assessment, taking my vitals, and the crew from the ambulance walks in, and there was a young kid that I've known for a while doing his ride-along time for his paramedic. So he hooks up the monitor, does his thing, and I said, hey, man, this is what I had. This is, pulse was this, BP was this is what's going on, this is how he was presenting. He hooks up the monitor, looks down at the monitor, he says, man, Chief, he says, that blood pressure was spot on. I said, yeah, buddy, I've been doing this for like 25 years. Like I know how to actually take a blood pressure. But yeah, it's funny to, share those kinds of things,
Yeah. And I didn't think it was going to happen until January, but I was assigned my very first rookie as the captain of the house. So I've been the driver, I've been the lieutenant. This guy's mine. And man, I'm telling you what, so far, so great. I mean, it's just like, I don't know. It's the demographics of our city is different because we are so much EMS based. And I'm telling you, our buggies, boxes, sleds, whatever you want to call them, they're busy. So the one in my station does about 4,600 runs a year. So they're busy.
Yeah,
his first shift, about 4 hours in, his tongue was hanging out going, hey, bud, careful what you wish for. It's like you got to ride the sled or the box if you want to go to the fires.
Yeah. One thing you just mentioned, and I love what you said about, getting to the call, getting off the rig with your tools, SCBA on, gear on, ready to go to work, because that crosses over. I mean, most of my listeners are on the volunteer side of the service, sure. And we talk about that all the time. We're like, listen, if you got to show up ready to work, right? And if you do, people notice that. And the next thing you know, even if it's not in your own first due area, thing you know, people from your mutual aid areas are all right, well, who can I turn to for manpower that's going to come in and go to work, right?
Well, it's so funny that
crosses over.
It does, because I'm also a volunteer.
Yeah.
And my volunteers, like, I kept noticing why we kept going to more fires. And I was like, man, I'm liking this. But you're spot on. Yeah. It's because when they do call, my guys from the 24 house are ready for work. You don't have to tell us to grab our gear. You don't have to tell us to bring hand tools. You don't have to tell us to stretch. So, I mean, that pays dividends for going to more fires. And look, I mean, I'm telling you, I'll put my guys from the 24 house against anybody.
Yeah.
I mean, if they're working their way into becoming career firefighters, that helps with the volunteer base that's working towards a goal.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, normally they're like, hey, here's the hose. The fire's down the hall to the left.
Yeah.
Let's go, boys.
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, I've had guys say, man, we're going to places we never went before. Like, we're doing some long distance mutual aids. I'm like, because, people know that you guys come, you're ready to work, and we're going to bring a crew with us when we show up.
Well, and I think there's one other thing that we actually went out as the career house to the volunteer and apartment fire the other day.
Okay.
I mean, I was expecting to have this rip-roaring apartment fire. Man, these guys got in there, and I mean, they absolutely did work. I was like, we're not worthy. We're not worthy. But after the fire was over, we did some overhaul, and I'm like, all right, guys, let's go roll their hose for them.
Yeah.
And they're like, why are we rolling the hose? It's like, listen, if you want to get invited to the party, you get invited to the before party and the after party.
Yeah, man.
And that goes with the volunteer house and the career house. You don't have to tell the guys from 24 to go pick up tools.
Yeah.
We're picking up tools. We're rolling hoses.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just because all the glory work is over, where you earn the respect is when you're doing the small things, because the small things matter.
For sure. Absolutely. Yeah. And look, I know in some areas you might not see your officer level guys get involved in that, but in the volunteer world, that it's not uncommon, you know. And look, I don't care. I'll bend over and roll hose just like everybody else. And you know, I've had guys comment before that actually this is how it usually happens. You know, everybody will be kind of standing around, and you'll see work that needs to be done, and you'll just go and start doing the work because that's how you're programmed, right? And then somebody will walk over and be like, "Hey, oh yeah, hey chief, I'll take that." You know, right. I'm like, "Well, look, go grab the other one, bro. You don't have to take this one." You know, but you know, I think that's all about setting that example, and you know, and showing guys everybody's here to work.
I don't have to worry about that. My volunteer chief is a retired deputy sheriff, and then when I say that he walks tall and carries a big stick, his expectation level for service doesn't matter whether you get a paycheck or not. His expectation, and this is how detail-oriented he is. He got on me the other day because I had a fire department T-shirt that was not his fire department. He's like, yeah, where's your fire department T-shirt at? I'm like, yeah, chief, I got fired. He's like, yeah, that's not the one you're with right now.
Yeah.
But I mean, the thing about that is he has raised the level of expectations for my volunteer house to a place that I never thought it could get. And a funny thing's happening. The membership keeps growing.
Yeah.
So it's like, ooh, what he's doing is working.
Yep.
Tell you what, if you stay still on the fire ground more than minutes, he's going to foot up your hind end. Trust me. I was 3 cylinders in on a fire 6 hours. He's like, why are you standing around for? These people expect you to work. I'm like, Chief, okay, can you get the AED ready?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what it's about. And you know, I've talked about this a few times before, and it's true, man. When you're setting the example and you've got morale going in the right direction, and people are working and like to be there and want to keep improving on their craft, that it's viral. Well, absolutely viral.
I'll tell you something that I never really fully understood. And I've seen it on Long Island. I've seen it in Delaware. I've seen it in a lot of different places. That there's a couple places around here in West Virginia that these firehouses that were immaculately, perfectly clean and kept until my chief made our volunteer house basically from I won't say a dump to like a pristine. We actually had a news reporter walk in and it was like, wow. But it's like you can start seeing that behavior of his firefighters. He don't have to clean the station anymore because it's perfectly clean because he set the expectations.
Sure.
But that pride catches on. And I'm telling you what, when my buddy Andrew Arnold from D.C. came down for our line of duty death funeral, he walked in and says, why are you a member of a volunteer house that's basically one district over? And he walked in the firehouse. He didn't explain anymore. He said, yeah, this place this is a place I want to volunteer at. So it's, Chris, if you're listening, it's freaking awesome. Thank you for everything that you do with the Institute Volunteer Fire Department. I'm proud to be a member.
Yeah, that's great. So speaking of cleaning things up and setting the example, you know, watching your social media, you've done a lot of work at your career house, right? At Engine 7, right? 7.
Yep, the 7 engine.
7 engine. Watching you design logos and paint and clean up and just
it's like the fire department hoarders. Why are you all hoarders? They make this new thing called Google. If you want to research an IFSTA manual from 1986, get on your flipping phone and open it. We don't need 1986 IFSTA manuals. Just, you don't need them. I was finding books about finishing concrete from the 70s. It's like, guys, come on. But you know what? It's so funny though, because it's like, I mean, just like the municipals that everybody's going to see a budget crunch coming. I'm sorry. We're not getting the B&O taxes. COVID has hit our businesses hard. It's hit my business hard. It's hit everybody. I'm not asking for money. I mean, if I go buy 2 gallons of paint and my own paintbrushes and paint the windows and paint the dormitory and clean up the messes and wax the floors, I'm telling you, it is infectious. And the thing about it is, I don't live in a dump. Well, this is Christmas getting stacked up.
Right.
I don't live in a dump.
Right,
I don't want to live in a dump when I'm at freaking work.
Right.
And the thing about it is if my chief walks in and I'm living in filth, man, I would be embarrassed.
Yeah.
And I had this conversation with a young firefighter the other day, and I'm going to sell him out a little bit on this one. He's like, why do we have to do more than all the other shifts? Why do we do more painting? Why do we do more waxing? Because we can.
Sure.
That's why.
Sure.
If you do this stuff with no expectation that anyone else is going to do it, and that's the way you got to set yourself up. Hey, Chief, listen, when I do the work around the fire station, I'm not expecting XYZ to step up or XY. This is something that Ryan's doing.
Sure.
But guess what? I've been waiting for this for 16 years. I'm the boss.
Right.
If you don't like it.
Yeah. Well, and it reflects on you in the shift.
That's exactly right. It's the same thing with the volunteer house.
Sure.
I mean, Chief Moyers went from a dump to like, oh my gosh, it's this beautiful fire station.
Right.
So you got to work more than everybody else.
Yeah.
And
yeah, absolutely.
I think it's something I got from Jocko and the rest of the guys, that when you do this stuff without any expectation of praise or return or someone else trying to get, when you set your expectations low, when they do help, it's a win. The guys called me the other day. They finished painting my windows because we went on quarantine. I'm like, hey, thank you very much. Didn't expect you to do that. So I mean, I think it's managing expectations of the people surrounding you, because not everybody's going to have my energy. Thank the good Lord. They all need Adderall. And I tell you something else is I don't ever quit. I don't ever give up. And if I get something in my head that we're going to do, it's going to happen. Man, there's so many resources out there. And especially, I mean, when you're on drill night, you got extra time. We always time. Mine's right here. Here. It's my lovely wife, by the way, my grandbaby. But look at here. This is something I started doing on my phone. And now I'm really going to tell on myself. I put a time. Oh, here we go. My widget shows how many hours I spend on the internet. Yeah. Don't look at the day because today's election day. And I'm obsessed with it.
Right.
But that way I figure out, hey, Ryan, you've been on your phone too much.
Yeah. Same thing. I think. Hold on. I hope I don't give myself. Oh, wait. Hold on.
There you are.
Yeah.
Hey, you got your activity meter there.
Yeah, I got my activity meter too. It's below it. 4 hours, and I'm with you. So election day.
I'm obsessed with. I don't really care about the national elections. I'm more worried about the local elections because I think that affects our area. And a huge shout out to Shelley Moore Capito, our local senator for West Virginia. Firefighters and elephants don't forget. And when we wrote an AFG grant back in 2006, she sent one of her personal people to help us write it, pushed it through Congress or whatever. So, I mean, I think today in election day, I'm sure you've done your civil duty, but firefighters don't forget that.
No, absolutely not. No, absolutely not. So this has been a crazy year for all of us. I mean, you and I were supposed to get together in person for you were going to come out and do your hoarding class, and you're aggressively positive back in May, right? And then we tried to think about rescheduling it and realized, well, that's not going to work. So we're kind of on like a permanent hold here for everything. But I mean, you're really on a permanent hold because all the conferences have
done. They're just not happening.
Yeah, they're just not happening.
I mean, I'll be surprised to see any of them come back next year. They are planning to do Missouri Winter Fire School. Huge shout out to Tracy Gray. He does one of the best fire schools I've ever been to. This would have been my 6th year, but fortunately for me, unfortunate for them, I got a new grandbaby coming. So family first. And I was really looking forward to my 6th year out there. And basically I was like, I can't leave another baby. And I'm not looking forward to more poopy diapers and bottles. I like taking care of the older kid where we go play with Pappy time.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I mean, it's just, you got to adjust. I mean, everybody knows Zoom has become common now. And there's so many great people that are putting out great content. I mean, if you don't follow Nick Martin, go smack yourself. Yeah. I mean, there's just a lot of those people that are keeping yourself busy. But I tell you something I'm struggling with, Chief, is just the personal motivation to put the content out, because I'm a person that feeds on personal interaction. And that's where I struggle at. So it's like, I mean, my trip to Missouri Winter Fire School would fire me up so much for like another month. And Lord knows when you go to FDIC, you're fired up for 6 months. Right. But it's you got to find your motivation around the house. I'm getting it from my guys. But not like coming up and seeing your awesome new fire truck and going into Manhattan and getting that big slice of pizza down there.
Yeah, it's crazy, and like you said, I mean, you know, at the beginning of the year, I'm sure we all thought, all right, well, we'll be back at it in 2021, and now it's not even looking good for 2021 for at least for big stuff, you know, like
Yeah.
big conferences, like the
The thing about it
FDIC and
is, I
Firehouse.
can't risk not only my family here at home, but I can't go through. If I want to go to New York and back, I'm quarantined for 14 days.
Right.
And it's
Same
like
here.
we're running short on companies right now.
Yeah.
I mean, when we're running short on companies, I'm telling you, my volunteer cycle goes up and down. When they have fires, I'm up.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
So, I mean, and my chief is so, I mean, he gives me so much leeway. He's like, Ryan, it's like, I don't really expect you to make drills. If you can help me during the day, during the week is when I need the most help.
Uh-huh.
And he lets me come around, and if it's on fire, I show up and do it. But it's like I'm starting to get more active back. I'm trying to get more active with them. They switched to I am responding the other day, so I went down and got my I am responding all set up.
Yeah, buddy.
Now I am set up with I am responding, and now I'm quarantined for 14 days.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure this is hitting the volunteer side just as bad as it is the career side, because I mean, now I'm out of service for 14 days.
Yeah. Listen, we've been, I've said it over and over again, we've been super fortunate regarding anything coming into the station.
Yeah.
In the beginning, we had some tough times. Toughest time for me was putting the older generation, the older guys on lockdown for a few weeks, just because of their vulnerability, you know, and
Sure.
you know, and while none of them are interior firefighters, you know, they're all drivers, fire police. They're always there. You know, these guys are always there when you need a hand. And that was one of the toughest calls. I called every one of them personally, and I was like, listen, I hate to do this to you. I was like, but you gotta sit home for a few weeks. And you know, you could tell they were pissed. You know, they're like, what do you mean I gotta sit home? I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't listen. I don't want to make this phone call, but you know, we got to try. If something comes into the station and we get put on lockdown, you know, it affects everybody, you know.
We had a local fire department get put on lockdown. The whole department got shut down.
Yeah.
Because of an outbreak inside the department. So, I mean, kudos for you for having the cojones to do that.
It was tough, man.
It is tough.
It was tough. But
that's something I see a lot. I don't want to stereotype career versus volunteers, but most volunteers have at least a level of passion that some career guys don't reach, because you're doing it for free.
Sure.
I mean, there is a more level of, and I'm not saying that there's not volunteer people. Oh, just volunteer, go through the motions.
Right.
There is a level of passion there that it seems like on an even keel is a little bit greater, and squashing those, man, that's tough.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, thankfully, we've had no issues, you know, just laid out the groundwork. So listen, guys, if you're not feeling well, as much as you may want to, you know, we're normally go-getters regardless of how we're feeling, right? You could be on antibiotics and half dying, and you're like, oh, structure fire, I'm going, you know, like, guys, you can't do it now. If you're sick, stay home. Just, you know, you can't, you don't, you know, the whole HIPAA thing gets a little weird too, you know, because like, you know, technically you don't have to tell me, but if you want to, you know, that's on you.
I think with the contract tracing here, they're not worried about HIPAA because it's a pandemic. It's a public health issue. So, I mean, it's just, I don't know. I just think this is a great time for us to focus in on ourselves. What are you doing to help your fire department? What are you doing to help your family?
Yeah.
What are you doing to help your nation, your world? I mean, maybe it's time for you to go work at a soup kitchen, or maybe it's time for you to do, I mean, because we all move at 1,000,000 miles an hour. And I'm telling you what, Chief, 2020 was going to be a record year for Jumpseat training. Mm-hmm. When they shut my flight, when I landed from Baton Rouge in March, that was my 22nd airplane ride of the year in March.
Wow.
So I was on a 100 flight pace, which I've never hit. And I mean, between you and Topeka, Kansas, and Liberty, Missouri, and Spring, Texas, and Indianapolis, and Nashville, I tell you, I don't know if I'll ever do that to me and my family ever again.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's going to be maybe once a month, maybe, and that's it. Because I mean, I realize what I've got here.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's
Absolutely.
maybe that's the benefits of it. So.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we're a lot alike in that respect, for months, the training center was shut down. I wasn't working not that I work a lot of EMS shifts, but I wasn't working my EMS shifts just because I didn't want to put myself at greater risk for my real job,
Right.
So I was not used to being home so much, I was not, and I think it even got to the point where my wife might've been a little sick of me, like, don't you have someplace to go tonight?
You're you.
But listening to your episode the other day when you and Pip were BSing for a while, it sounds like he's become an expert at landscaping, and you're becoming the project engineer around the house.
Maybe the subcontractor, because I can't fix anything. I can break anything, but now when it comes to fixing things, now I will tell you, if I can show you that pizza over there, Ryan is learning to cook even more. We started doing Hello Fresh.
Yeah. Yep.
It's been fantastic. So I think the wife might be coming in, the wife or the daughter. So for all you listeners, you're getting right here another member of the family. Speak of the devil, see your ears must be burning. But using that Hello Fresh has really kind of got me out of my comfort zone as far as learning to cook. So we had, what did we have last night? We had soy pork with sweet potatoes. And man, I turned my nose up. I'm like, ooh, this is going to be, ooh, wow, that is good. So, I mean, there is some good coming from this for sure.
Yeah. That they make it nice and easy for you, right? Because everything comes in the box. Yeah.
Yep.
All you have to do is follow the directions.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, it's been fantastic. I mean, we got 3 people in the house, so we order the 4th. So we always have leftovers for Allison. She's home. Hey, speak of the devil.
Hey there, how are you?
Hey.
It's the missus. See, her ears were burning.
Yeah, true story.
So, but when we do that, though, it's been fantastic because now you expand your palate a little bit.
Yeah.
You learn to cook a little bit better. I mean, it's not like firefighters can't cook already, but it's been pretty neat.
Yeah. Let's do some plugging, man. Let's plug some stuff. You had some gloves on a minute ago there before we got on the air. Let's talk about Vanguard a little bit. So I got a hold of a pair of, not the Ultras, which you're mod. For those of you who are watching on YouTube, you get to actually see what Ryan's doing here. But if you're on the podcast, go to the YouTube channel.
So in 2000, what was it, Heather? 2014, I reached back out to a manufacturer contacted within the industry. And I said I had this idea of a fire beanie made out of Nomex. So when I go burning, it keeps the smoke smell out. He's like, Ryan, I no longer work for that PPE manufacturer, but I'm starting my own business. Are you interested in it? I said, absolutely, I am. So fast forward 5 years later, we've got 3 different gloves. The Squad 1 rescue glove, named after Squad 1, who made the first rescue wearing those gloves during trial period. Right. The MK1 that you have, and they just unveiled the MK Ultras. So this is the same thing as your glove, the MK, except for it's got a kangaroo palm. Kangaroo is the most durable, supple material on earth, and I'm telling you, the feedback. I may have been wearing these for like the last 2 years, maybe. So as a crash test dummy, but man, Vanguard safety wear. If you guys go check them out. The feedback for the Ultras has been fantastic. I mean, it's fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, I love the gloves that I'm wearing, the MK1s, and I mean, listen, I've said in training evolutions and at the firehouse for years, if you're going to go out and buy one piece of equipment, like I'm sure your station gives you gloves, all right. But gloves are one of those things you gotta find something that fits right, that gives you the dexterity you need, and these are great.
And I tell you, the guy that's the CEO and the lead designer, his name's Andy Shapiro. And if I tell you all the other gloves that he has designed throughout the years, your mind would be blown. Because he has 3 other gloves out on the market right now from different manufacturers since he's left.
Wow!
And his knowledge is just crazy. Hopefully, we'll keep pushing the limits. And I hope really, really soon we're going to let everyone know what MK stands for. No. There is a meaning behind MK, and we hope to write MK's foundation a big check real soon.
Very nice. Very nice. Awesome. So yeah, go check those out if you have not yet. What else? What else can we talk about today?
I don't know. My daughter's getting to come in the door now. So.
Oh, all right. So maybe we'll start wrapping it up because we don't want you to, you got that pizza on the stove.
Oh,
so.
I do. Hey, Chief, thanks for the opportunity for letting me jump on the podcast at the last minute. Man, I tell you, I really like what you're doing. Thank you for doing something for the volunteer fire departments out there. I know that they're not really overlooked, but they seem like they're going to get glanced over a lot of time. So,
well, I'll say this, and as we're closing out, you always have a great message. There's tons of podcasts that are out there with phenomenal messages. A lot of times, a lot of the guests tend to come from that career background, just because they're the ones out there doing it every single day. And it is the same job. All right. We pushed it. It's the same job. We pushed it. You should be held to the same standards, but sometimes you got to look at it from a different viewpoint. And that's all we're trying to do here is like say, hey, listen, you guys can do everything that they're doing. All right. Just because you're not getting a paycheck for it.
Just got to put the time in though.
Yeah, man.
That's the biggest thing with the volunteerism that I see is they just don't have the available time.
Yeah, it's tough.
And you got to manage your time. I mean, don't do truck checks during drill night. Sometimes during the day, during drill night, get right into training. I mean, it can be done. Zoom is a great function. I've seen a lot of volunteer fire departments really flourish. But I've also seen a lot of them really struggle.
Yeah, same here. All right, brother. I appreciate you doing this last minute, and we've been trying to do this for a while, so it was good to catch up. A lot of people know where to find you, but just in case you happen to come across somebody on today's podcast, it's like, who the hell is this guy with that funny accent?
On all the social media platforms at Jumpseat Views. Check us out on iTunes at Jumpseat Radio. Views from the Jumpseat and Jumpseat training website. So thanks, Chief. Hopefully I'll get invited back when I got less family going on.
Absolutely.
I'm going to go eat some pizza.
All right, man. Open invitation anytime. Thanks again, brother. Stay safe. All right.
Thanks, Chief.
All right. And bye-bye.